Today, let me introduce you to Antoinette Duck. As one rescued from abortion, Antoinette is an attorney and speaker dedicated to rescuing others. A living testament to the redemptive grace of the Lord, she has come to understand that her faults and failures are not the end of the story, that the story of the cross is the story of redemption. Before time began, our glorious sovereign Lord intended to conform us to his image, and he is using all things, our victories and obedience, as well as our failures and our past, to transform us into a thing truly magnificent to behold. Antoinette invites you to walk in the redemptive grace that is yours. Antoinette, good morning, and thank you for joining me for this conversation.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to know Jesus.
Sure. In 1981, my mother was in a very abusive marriage. Her husband was verbally abusive, physically abusive. He was addicted to various substances, and life could be very scary for her.
Mm.
She began to experience morning sickness. She came to believe that she was pregnant. She didn't want to bring money into the home. And so she gave some money to a friend for safekeeping. She was going to leave the marriage. She was going to go back to her home state and she was going to be done with the relationship. And she had intended to have an abortion when she got back home. So when she finally thought that she had enough money, she went to her friend and she said, I need my money. I've got to get out of here. And her friend said, what money? I spent it. It's all gone. So she had no way out. She had no support system, no safety net. She encountered an ad in the paper. Her husband actually had cut it out, my biological dad. It said, Hey, I'm alive, voice of the preborn. It was advertising a crisis pregnancy center that was operating out of a church, which is what happened back in 1981. So she ended up making an appointment. She went to the church. She met a pastor. His name was Andy Merritt, and she had a couple counseling sessions there. And in those sessions, she became convinced that no matter what happened in the future, she was going to go through it with her baby, and that baby was me.
Mm.
And so, this issue of abortion, the value of the human being, has been something that very much has been a part of my life from the beginning, something that I've known about and that frankly has been celebrated because of not only my mother choosing life, but the way the church just wrapped their arms around us and really got into the trenches with us. Crisis pregnancy doesn't necessarily stop at birth, and the church really understood that with they were there for baby showers, jobs, places to stay, safe places to go when we needed them. So this issue is something that has the Lord has just kept very close to my heart. I went through um, a lot of brokenness in my relationship with my father and ran from the Lord for a number of years.
Mm.
And eventually he brought me back to him. And I really believe it was the prayers of my mother that helped to bring me back from the brink. She always has pointed me back to what is true. She's pointing me back to forgiveness. She's pointing me back to life. And I genuinely believe if she had chosen to be a different woman, if she had chosen to be bound up in anger or bitterness or resentment, the trajectory of my life would have been very different. And so I began in post-abortive ministry and speaking about the value of the human being about 2011. I began doing certain community outreaches in my early 20s, but became very intentional with it about 2011. And so for about the last 15 years, I am an attorney. So I've been involved in the corporate world, but this has been something that just a passion that I believe the Lord has kept there. It hasn't died out, it hasn't gone away. And my heart through life circumstances that have been hard, but also through choices I made that shouldn't have been made. The Lord has taught me a lot of humility, and
Mm.
He's taught me a lot of what it means to be redeemed, what it means to be forgiven, what it means to walk in the fullness of what He's offering us in relationship with Him. And so my desire in stepping into this kind of ministry is really to help reconcile women in particular, post-abortive women, back to the heart of God.
I love that. So you talk about the post-abortive woman, and that's a hard place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of the things that they hear ahead of time that, what's going to happen in the post-abortive. So tell us some typical symptoms a post-abortive woman might be experiencing, thoughts, things that are going on for her.
Oh, sure. So the effects can be very wide-ranging. Anger, loneliness, depression, despair. It affects really every aspect of the life. It can affect you mentally, emotionally, physically, your relationships with other people, your perception of the world.
Mm,
Often it will affect the relationship the woman is actually in. I believe the statistic is less than 10% of relationships survive where there's been an abortion. It can affect future marriages, where you're just not able to bond with the significant other, or there's just undercurrents of anger, resentment, bitterness, but no way to actually handle them. There can be issues with bonding with future children because there's a lot of condemnation, a lot of shame attached to your motherhood, your ability to be a mother, your fitness for being a mother. Women experience a lot of self-loathing, self-hatred, not just in the ticker tape they allow to run through their head, but self-harming behaviors, burning, cutting, alcoholism, promiscuity. There's the impact of it is enormous. And so often women may be experiencing this, not only women in the world, women in the church, women in ministry, women leading in ministry. They're affected and they're wrestling, but they don't know why. They
mm,
haven't unpacked the way that abortion experience affected them, their thoughts, their perspectives, their sense of self. And so being able to get in, really go back to where you dropped it essentially and explore the depth of what happened, how it impacted you, it's so critical, very, very critical.
So there's a lot of trauma that needs to be reconciled.
Absolutely.
That's what you're
Absolutely.
dealing with. Now, as an attorney, has you ever had to step in as an attorney to deal in this space?
No, no. I've done a little in the domestic violence realm, but no, not with the abortion issue in particular.
Okay. Now you brought up domestic violence because that's what your mother was in. That's what your mother
Yes.
was dealing
Mhm.
with. Is this something that you see a lot in post-abortive women, that there's also domestic violence?
Oh, certainly. There certainly can be. If a woman doesn't have a support system, and I'm even just one person who says, I will love you, I will not abandon you. There's quite a lot that women are willing to put up with, for a number of reasons. Maybe they're afraid that they don't know where their next meal will come from, where shelter will come from, where the ability just to survive in the world, how they'll actually navigate that. And so women are willing to endure quite a lot, not beyond the fact that there's that very real element of fear where there are real threats being made, and you genuinely believe this person will deliver on the promises he's making. And so in a situation like this, certainly women have are not only in domestic violence situations, when they find themselves in a crisis pregnancy, but also there's coercion involved in certain
Mm,
circumstances where a woman doesn't want to have an abortion. And the coercion can come certainly from family, parents, but definitely the significant other who threatens bodily harm, taking her life if she doesn't go forward with the
mhm.
abortion. That's a very real thing, not just in the US, but in many parts of the world.
I've certainly heard similar stories
Mm.
to that. Antoinette, thank you so much for being willing to come and to share part of your story with us today. And for those of you that have listened to this or have watched this recording, I will have the links to Antoinette's resources in the comments below. You can find that information. Please reach out to Antoinette if this has resonated with you, if you find yourself in that post-abortive state, and
Mm.
if you are a woman who is struggling because of betrayal, who is in need of someone hearing your story, you can reach out to Antoinette. You can reach out to me. Those links will be available for you.
Mm.
But thank you again, Antoinette. Thank you for what you're doing, for being willing to tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.